We're recording. Check. Everyone check real quick on your end.
Skadoosh,
Okay.
skadoosh.
Fuck you,
3,
Joel.
2, 1.
Today we have the imperishable, he doesn't serve, Dimmadome Dimmet.
Heyo!
The grudge bearer, pettiest of all dwarves, Brendan.
By Grimness beard!
And your host, the horned rat's chosen child, me, Jake. Oh, yes, yes.
God.
Children, may we bow our heads in silence. Thank you. We do this in the name of our Jewish northern friend from Canada, Joel, who could not be here with us today because he died. JK, he's still alive, but he's dead to me. He gave us free reign on this episode. He thought
Which
we were
might
doing.
turn out to be the greatest thing ever or the worst mistake of his entire life.
We're gonna find out cancel culture is real. He gave us free reign. He thought we were doing Game of Thrones. Fuck you, Joel. We don't listen to the North. We're the first world country. We have freedom. WarHammer it is.
And with that, welcome back to the Handsome Jacks podcast. That's right, folks. We're doing WarHammer, if you couldn't tell by the nicknames I've given today. We're going over the lore, some video games we've been playing in, maybe an upcoming game or two, and then we're going to do tabletop. So where do you boys want to start out today?
I mean, where is there? There's so much to cover. I mean, it's kind of hard just to jump into one.
I think the best way to start this off is Vermintide, the first Vermintide.
I think so. I mean, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, like I've always seen 40K because it's just like the biggest part of that universe. But fantasy, like I hear no one talk about, and then I saw Vermintide. I was just like, wow, this is Dungeons and Dragons Left 4 Dead.
For sure.
And I was like, you guys Left 4 Dead. I hate it. I like D&D. You guys like D&D. I'm like, let's try it out. And from there it became our like thing.
It was quite possibly the
every day.
happiest ever after.
Yeah, well, that it really showed that Jake is sexually attracted to rats.
Whoa, dude, now I'm not sexually attracted to rats. Not naming names, but there are monster fuckers amongst us. Jelly.
Well, he's not technically among us. I mean, wait, do we need to have a moment of silence for him too?
Yeah.
He ain't dead, but real serious talk though, he does have the Rona, so do send your well wishes to him. He's doing okay. He is quarantining. He's probably going to be fapping and playing a lot of CS:GO.
Dude, he's going to be fapping so hard that he's going to come out looking like he had corona, like all skinny and pale, but he's like, no, I just jerked off a lot.
I mean, speaking of Left 4 Dead, he'll look like the Charger from Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
If you can mix the spitter and the Charger, that's what Jelly's going to come out with.
That prostitute's fat fire.
But no, I definitely love the Vermintide games, 1 and 2. It introduced me to WarHammer in general. I think I might have heard like about Space Marines and the 40K, and like I'm even now I'm kind of iffy on it. But the fantasy shit is I just love it. I love how it takes the real world inspirations, grim darks it up, and mix it with fantasy shit, and it just comes with so many original ideas. And just the idea of an apocalyptic fantasy setting to me was very unique. And I don't think there's anything quite like the Skaven in other settings that I can at least recall.
No, not really. I mean, I kind of had the same kind of cycle of where I didn't really know much at all about Warhammer. I still don't, I mean, truthfully. But, Warhammer 1 and 2, Vermintide kind of got me into it. And I'm not like a huge fantasy guy. I don't really like a lot of fantasy, tropes or anything like that.
Yeah, you're
But
definitely a sci-fi guy in the group.
yeah, but I do like the dark approach of, Warhammer in general,
Oh
which
yeah,
that's what kind of pulled me in.
Zack Snyder definitely directed
Yeah,
this.
100%.
Oh, dude, if Game Workshop wanted to make a movie, they'd have to hire Zack Snyder. This would be
100%.
made for him.
Because, like you said, like what I love about it is that it's dark as shit, and like the good guys will not always win. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, light won't win. And they, like you said, they take everything from fantasy, like anything, and just make it 100%. Like the dwarves, you all know I love dwarves, and the dwarves in this fantasy world are just perfection. Like they took it and perfected it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Skaven, like you said, there's nothing like them. Like I've never seen a faction go toe to toe with dwarves and be ninjas, necromancers, and have Roman armor on top of it. Like,
Or
it's
even like just the
amazing.
mechanical aptitude, because usually it's like in a fantasy setting, it's like just the dwarves know how to make basic machines, but here you got dwarves going toe to toe with rats with rattling guns, and then even the humans, the Empire has like basic World War I era tanks.
Yeah, like shit. The Skaven have fucking nukes.
God
Oh,
bless
trust
my
me,
homie
I
Icket
know,
Claw.
I know all too well.
And,
Every time I go up against them, like, ah, shit, here we go again.
and I think my
Can't keep
favorite,
half my shit anywhere near them.
yeah, fuck the Skaven and the
Yeah,
green
first off.
skins. In Total War. Fuck both of those factions. Sorry, Jake, but you're a cuck.
Oh, we'll get there. But before we get too far deep into Total War and Skaven lore, let's talk a little bit about the Vermintide like gameplay and what we each found interesting in it. Like, what characters do we play as, or who can we play as?
Ooh. So in Vermintide, you have Barden, who I play, because I don't think anyone fought me for the dwarf. Everyone knows that's my favorite aspect of fantasy, and he is a dwarf ranger in the first game, and specializes in crossbows and then every melee weapon you think a dwarf had. Late game, you start getting into some Draken weapons, which are just fire rifles, like what you
Yeah,
would expect the firebenders to evolve into
So you're
and
saying he
have
100,
just
fun.
shoots
100%.
bullets of fire?
Basically, he shoots like fireballs, or these two like cannon pistols in late game, and is perfect. Um, Jake, who do you play?
I go with the elf because when I was first playing it, I was so used to Left 4 Dead. I was like, I want a character that's more range based, since Vermintide's more based on melee combat. That way, it can transition me over. And the elf
Mhm.
has a bow that's just fires so fast, and you have such a large arrow stock that you don't really run out too often. And then the more I played, the more I liked her quick play style. And if you get the right weapon, she's fast but can still take down the larger opponents.
Oh yeah, she's a powerhouse with that bow.
Hmm.
Like they have the dwarf ranger, but like they should have called him something else because when it comes to ranging, he gets like stomped in the first game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. No, I mean, I've played Victor a lot. I've kind of gone through a transition though. I'm now playing Sienna more. So,
Hmm.
That's
Victor, of
brave.
course, is the witch hunter. My favorite combo has definitely got to be the rapier with the pistol, because in the first game that was an amazing combo.
Probably one of the
Uh,
sexiest combos in a game I've seen. Like this
yeah,
subtle switch to like with the rapier melee and then just pistol whipping a motherfucker.
yeah, it's fantastic.
For sure.
Um, I mean, the biggest problem I have ammo was always a problem. That's why I tried playing Sienna, and I love her melee and the ranged. I was telling Jake about this. We were doing a quick playthrough about a week ago,
Something
and
like
on
that, yeah.
easy difficulties, she's busted. Like you can clear house so quickly, but as you go up the difficulty ladder, her overheating becomes a massive issue,
Yeah.
and it takes like 2 hits sometimes in the wrong place, and you're fucking exploding, losing all your health and whatnot. So I don't know. I might jump back and forth, but Sienna is definitely what I'm playing right now.
Yeah. And then there's Marcus Kruber, the Imperial soldier. And he, to me, has a really cool backstory. But gameplay wise, he's kind of boring. He's just like your run in the mill, like soldier. He doesn't have any. He has a shotgun and I guess a rifle, but like the shotgun's meh when it
Yeah.
comes to combat. The rifle, Barden gets a rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even that good in the first game. I feel. Um, so he's just okay, and um,
And even the
it's
bow
not
he
really
gets in
to
the
this.
second game is kind of only
Well,
okay compared to the other classes too.
yeah, because in the second game they introduce a class system with every character, and Barden, his first three are the dwarf ranger. I think it's a ranger expert or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's basically the same character you get from the first game. And nothing really different. You get like an ult now in the second game, which is his is like you can go into like a stealth mode. You throw like a smoke grenade and you do like 2x crit damage towards an enemy. Um, and then his next class is an Iron Breaker, which Iron Breakers in the lore are just badass. They're just fully armored dwarves, and they armor their fucking beard because you
They're
never
just
know.
midget tanks, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're front linesmen, and they fucking carry these like flamethrowers in the front lines with a huge axe. Like, so when shit charges them, they burn them down, and they then they throw it down with an axe. They're perfect, and that's his second class. So his second class, he starts getting his flame weapons. He gets the two fireball pistols again, is okay, but then you grab your fucking uh flamethrower, and when hordes of enemies come, just like in Left 4 Dead, you can just burn the fuck out of them. And then you get into the most autistic class I've ever seen,
The
which
fucking
is a
Slayer.
Slayer. When his special ability, he just leaps in the middle of a fight, like, and his speed is he increased and his damage output is increased, and he just goes ham. He doesn't have a ranged weapon at all. He just two axes and a two-hand axe that you can flip through. He's
Dude,
pure
it's never
damage.
not funny just seeing like the little model at super speed swinging around everywhere.
It's
Hacking and
perfect.
slashing, hacking,
And
Mm,
slashing.
I fucking
and they
love it.
just introduced new classes that they're starting, and now he has the engineer class. What is it, Jake? Specifically, it's like not Forsaken engineer, but the
Exiled engineer or something like that.
exiled engineer. Yeah, exiled engineer, which right now is the most OP class. He has a Gatling gun. He has a straight like Western type pistol that could just hit fire and murder everything, and then he has like a cog hammer that can switch into an axe and just do straight head damage. It's mean as fuck.
It's a great class. Like his regular pistol, not his ultimate Gatling gun, does more than Kruber's new Knight class's ultimate one super duper sword swing, which is broken
Yeah,
as fuck.
yeah, yeah. He's a
Makes you
powerhouse. The only thing is, he doesn't take a lot of damage. I've noticed. But I'm like used to playing the Ironbreaker that can just take anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Welcome to the world of mortals.
yeah,
Brendan.
Dimit, what's some of Victor's classes in Vermintide 2?
So Victor, I can touch on that. I could focus a bit more on Sienna, but Victor, he's got the Witch Hunter captain. His is, I don't want to say it's more of a support class, but it kind of is. His ultimate boosts critical hit chance for all nearby party members. So he can tag specials as well. So like I said, I don't want to call it a support role because it really isn't like a support role, but he's a backliner for sure. It's not really designed to clear out everyone. Then he gets the bounty hunter, which this is my favorite so far. Ultimate, he pretty much just says parry this, pulls out a fucking huge ass pistol and blows everything away.
Yeah.
It's fantastic when like what are they, Chaos Warriors?
Yeah.
When
Oh,
one of the big
dude,
bastards jump down and like, nope.
the first time you used that ability, I was like, I got this, and I had my huge dwarf axe ready to impale into the head, and you were just like, nah, and you like Western hip fired into his head. I'm just like, I literally did like a Gimli. I'm like, it only counts as one.
Overwatch announcer comes on. Play of the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes. Like, oh shit, we're in a tight bind. And like, nope, not anymore.
I've never
It's
felt so
on.
diminished.
And then last but not least, the Zealot, which kind of gains power with more health it loses.
Also, another autistic class.
Yeah. His last ability just 50% increased attack speed for 5 seconds. You just hack and slash your way through just about anything. Sienna, though, there's some absolutely dumb builds.
She's a character that you have to be good at, or you just don't touch her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I played it, I think I died like 5 times on like normal difficulty because it's so easy to get carried away. Just, you know,
With
using
her,
ranged.
yeah,
See, I will
But
say in defense of like Kruber talking about how like easy he went down with Sienna is like Sienna's made for someone who's played the game a little bit and understand the basics already. While Kruber,
yeah,
I feel like is great for like a newcomer because it's really easy to understand. Like, here's my ranged weapon, here's my sword. Let's go kill some rats and chaos warriors.
yeah. Cooper is you're really good in melee first class, and then I think you like hop up to Barton and you start to learn your range a little bit, and then you go to how do you say your bitch ass
Carillion.
help? Yeah, that one. By the way, people listening, I hate her because she talks such mad shit to every character, and when I play the dwarf, she just talks mad shit during the game.
Dude, I think it's
Just
hilarious that everyone talks mad shit about each other in the group. Because like even in the trailer for the new dwarf
yeah,
class, her and the fucking fire witch were walking by the room. He's like, "Do you think he's dead in there?" He's like, "Nah. It would probably end up smelling even worse."
yeah,
yeah, I
dude,
love it.
she's such a bitch, and Kruber's just like, I'm happy to have friends.
Groot's like, "I'm happy to be here. This is
And
the
then
best apocalypse of all time."
This is my favorite apocalypse.
Dear
And
diary,
then what?
killed some rats
Victor just
today.
hates everyone.
Made some
I
new
made
friends.
dude, yeah, Kruber's just like angry, an angry drunken dwarf. But he's like happy to be around Kruber.
Mm,
Uh, honestly, he's really good with everyone except for dude. I can't say her name.
Carillion.
Carillion. Fuck Carillion. He can. They hate each other, and I hate her. When I play her, I feel dirty.
It's a match made in heaven, really. But yeah, anywho, her abilities. There's a lot of variety in this. Her first one is pretty much kind of just a basic, doesn't take damage, vents easier, um, and she can blink forward, leave like a trail of fire. It's like the flame or whatever from Fantastic Four, kind of mixed with the Flash, just and it just leaves like a fucking trail binder. It's not that good.
It's a Human Torch.
Yeah, well, that shows you how much I pay attention to those kind of movies.
Flame
Well,
You
they
didn't know
on!
weren't that
before.
good.
I fucking hate them.
So does everyone else in this world.
Yeah, so I'm not alone there.
Yeah.
Her second one, critical strike chance increases with overcharge level. So this is like the high risk, high reward type shit that the classes teach you.
Yeah.
You want to just turn and burn and get really high up and then start hacking and slashing. Her ultimate, she sends out a projectile that seeks out a target. Still not that good of an ultimate, because the biggest problem with playing her is that if you get backed into a corner or you get carried away, you blow up. That's the biggest problem.
Oh, we literally ruined someone's fun at playing this game because he picked that character. Granted, it
Hey,
was partially his fault because we told him to pick Kruber, and we even offered to switch our characters, and he's like, "Nah, I want to play her." And we're like, "Dude, you're not gonna have fun."
it's just like
Yeah,
you've been complaining about not having a good time for the past half hour. Just please switch.
yeah, it's I about fucking quit because it's not easy. Like
No.
it's definitely something that you have to kind of know what's going to happen. Like you
I'm
got to
not even
anticipate
gonna try
things.
playing her. Yeah,
It's fun as hell. Like me and Jake played it. It is fun when it starts kicking off and you get. But anywho, the last one, the complete, absolute, fucking high risk. This is a gambler's type class here. You got addiction problems. This will definitely not help you.
dude, watching people play that last class, I feels like watching a pilot go high speed into like everything that
It's
could kill them. Like watching all the gauges and pressing all the buttons all at once.
it's just, yeah, it's essentially let's ramp up the overcharge by using it as much as possible to the brink, and then you hack and slash that much better. And then on top of that, 50% of the damage you take goes to overcharge instead of your health, which is great. But at the same time, if you're also trying to ramp up hard as hell, it doesn't take much to send you over the edge and blow up. So that's why her ultimate is the best ultimate in the game, which just prevents you from dying.
Yeah.
It just insta vents and explodes, but it doesn't kill you. It doesn't even do that much. The sole purpose of it is to keep you from dying. And that's what it's great at. The class is hilarious. Jake witnessed what happens when you do an attack speed
Yeah.
buff with a couple of her minor abilities. And I'm running a build on it right now. Everything you gain health wise is temporary health.
That's just
Oh
wacky.
And you
hell yeah,
passively
dude.
regenerate health instead. So it's fucking dumb, but you could
Dude,
build
that's
up so much temp health on some scenarios that it
so
doesn't
good.
matter. So like yeah, like Jake, I don't even think I picked up more than like 2 health kits the entire time.
No, because every
And
time
that
we
was just
pass
because they
them,
were
you're
gonna
like,
get
I don't
left.
need it. I'm on temp health. We good.
Yeah, like you honestly just run around, and as long as you're killing shit and not taking too many hits, you'll build the temp health up. But yeah,
Yeah, and you
it's
literally
great.
survive a whole game off of that shit.
Yeah, and
It's
then like I said,
insane.
then normally what happens is you got caught with your fucking pants down after already using your ult, and then a horde just comes in and beats the shit out of you,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or you miss a block or something and get fucked up by some boss, which literally builds your overcharge by like half. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll probably send you over the ledge.
Yep. And then let's see, we got Kruber. He has 3 classes. He has the mercenary, which is I'd say the best part about that is that he has a halberd. He gets a halberd in that class, and I don't care what anyone says. That's one of my favorite weapons in the fucking game, and it's so good on straight killing bosses with armor
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with a horde. I think it's a super underrated weapon. His range is okay. He gets the shotgun and like rifle, which
Yeah.
who gives a fuck? And then
Excuse
his
me, sir. That's
ability,
a blunderbuss.
yeah, his ability, he just goes rawr, and like everyone like gets knocked on the ground, which is great to save your buddies in a tight
It's fucking
spot.
useful as hell. I love that
Um,
when things are going
his
sideways on a horde.
huntsman is a class that you need to know how to play. Like if you can if you get the right weapon, like I'd say blunder, but uh, you can straight up like almost one shot an enemy boss with it, and it's beautiful. He gets this any melee weapon you want. He doesn't get anything special. He gets a bow, which is like dumb. It's fun to play with, but like if you're trying to be serious, it's dumb because then you got the elf who has just a better bow all around. Like no
Yep.
matter what class she's using, like 'cause she can run and shoot. Where he's like an actual hunter because he's the class is called the huntsman. So he straight up like stops, takes aim, and shoots with his bow. It's realistic but dumb. And then he has the foot knight, which is like a straight up tank, but it's not as good as the iron breaker for the dwarf. He does like a charge, which like if when your ally is getting like aggroed by a boss, it's really good to get them off. But that's like about it.
Yeah.
Um, he gets a dumb two-handed weapon and no new. Well, I guess he does. I think he might get a new range. I think it's like with a revolving pistol, which is dumb because you lose ammo really quick and it's not accurate at all. I'm trying not to shit on all his classes, but I
Tries
just
and
want to
salt
have
fire.
fun. And they all look boring. I'm trying not to show. You don't get anything really cool. I don't think till the last class. I'm gonna let Jake talk about because he's played it with
Yeah,
the
I
most,
like the Grail Knight quite a bit.
and
I mean, even though
you
it's like
murdered
it's a
fucking
little
rats.
lore breaking, but aside from that, it's just fun because it's melee only, which might seem like a downside, but he has each level you have 2 tasks you can do, and it gets little bonuses for the whole team. So it might be like kill 15 special enemies, and then the rest of the level you get like a speed boost to all your attacks or a power increase, or find a grimoire somewhere in the level, and then your HP regeneration goes up faster and shit like that. And he has a all like I mentioned earlier, it's just a super big holy sword smack on something. It's great against bosses. But you can also augment it later to make it horizontal to hit multiple enemies if you want to make it more horde focused. And then
Yeah.
I almost forgot his new parry ability where you can hold the charge
Oh,
attack button and now still block. But instead of normally blocking where then you have to wind up a whole ass swing, you can just block and then right away just go for the repose and take down people.
It's
dude, that's so
amazing.
sexy. Oh, something I forgot about the outcast engineer. So every other class has to wait for their ult to charge. Where since his ult is his Gatling gun, he can just straight up crank it and recharge it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
his ultimate can always just be ready to use.
it honestly would not be that broken if that was not a key feature of the class. The fact that you can
Yeah,
use it just as much as you need to and then just
yeah,
put it away. It's like, holy shit, it's always up.
It's fucking nice. It did throw me off the first time I played it though because I'm used to like not using an alt and then like the alt will recharge over time. The Gatling gun does not do that. You have to manually charge it.
yeah. So you gotta also find your perfect time to recharge it. Like if you're running like from one place to another and there's no enemies, that's when you gotta start recharging it because you'll get cucked if you're recharging in the middle of something. Um,
Yeah, that's kind of how Sienna is, where she's really good at like short hordes and short engagements, but on the long ones, where you might go through your ultimate charge to cool down, and then if you're lucky and you're a klepto like me and you steal all of the potions for your ult, you have a spare one just in case. But on super long, tough hordes, that's when shit usually starts hitting the fan because you run out of all your fail safes, and then you just turn into a mini Chernobyl right in the middle of your group, and
yeah,
bad shit starts happening.
yeah, yeah. And the fourth classes for the other three characters um, haven't come out yet. I'm excited to see what they're going to be because I have no idea what Victor, Sienna, and Elf Bitch are going to be.
Corellin.
I
Yeah, I
I
don't
have
even want to
Corellin.
name right
Corellin.
here so much.
I mean, it seems like so far they have gone for a more out there kind of class.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like that. Where it's just something
well,
completely different.
Vermintide threw me off completely because a little bit of lore, like he's straight up Germany, like
Yeah.
where the Empire is Germany, because like the guys that made this game took the world map and was like, let's make this fantasy but keep all the history. So
Mm-hmm.
they were like, this is the Holy Roman Empire. We're just gonna call this the Empire and make it more fantasy. And then they took Bretonia, which is they took like France and England, and were like Bretonians, and then gave all like the fantasy elements to that, and then kind of kept Arthur Pendragon shit in there,
Mm-hmm.
and like the Norska or the Vikings, and they took like they're like, let's make them as evil as possible, how people used to think Vikings were, like just
Yeah.
straight barbarians, fucking skulls and shit. And so that's how they divvied up all the fantasy. They were like real world fantasy added in.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, and
I just love
then
that twist.
actual fantasy races they do amazing at, like high elves, or what you imagine high elves would be. Dark elves
Mm-hmm.
are just like the drow, but even worse.
We need to have a talk about that too. Like I said,
Oh,
I have serious questions how high elves are over here collecting dragons, and dark elves are literally having 800 strong slave sacrifices in the streets of their cities.
This is
I
America.
have serious questions where the divergence came. Is this like step brothers that didn't work out? Like, I
I
don't get
see.
it.
I'm not even sure because there's so much to the Warhammer lore. Because it's what been around since what, the 80s.
Yeah, something like that. The
I
tabletop has.
I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Like I know about the dwarves, a little about the wood elves, the Empire, Norska, a little bit about Bretonians, but the elves I haven't even gotten a touch at. Like I know because we're gonna be rolling a tabletop game, um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, paper and pen game, and there then I'm probably gonna learn more. But it takes a lot to learn because there's so much history in this game.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk about Age of Sigmar because fuck that game, that
That does
version. It's
that does
so
not exist.
Jake.
Let's
I think
take
you
this
know a little
really
more
realistic
about.
world map and just put them on magical realms like it's fucking Asgard or something.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
they were like Magic the Gathering has this down right, and made their universe around it. I'm like, this is dumb.
Right. I was like, this is not what like. Granted, I got into it late in the game because I didn't know there was a whole different split with Age of Sigmar and fantasy. So when I got into it, I thought it was just Total War, and then you actually start looking into it. It's like, oh, this is all based on old shit that's no longer pertains to the actual Age of Sigmar tabletop shit. I'm like, what
Because
the fuck?
I think Age or I think the Warhammer that we're into kind of ended after Vermintide or before it, right?
Yes. So the Vermintide is considered part of the End Times, which in the Warhammer
Yeah,
universe is basically the fantasy apocalyptic event where chaos and the quote unquote bad guys won, and the good gods finally had to get involved and somehow reset the universe, and that's what caused Age of Sigmar. That's just the
and
super oversimplification of it. I'm
interesting.
sure Warhammer people will come down and be like, actually, Sigmar was reborn and came down with his
I'll
magic
have you
hammer.
know, good sir.
All I know
Yeah,
is
we're
Skaven
not
Blight
experts
blew up the
on this.
moon. That fucked everyone.
Yeah, everyone listening, we're not experts. We just really love Warhammer. We're still trying to learn everything. There's so much, and
Dude,
yeah,
I
Vermintide's what got us started. So there's
Yes.
how we got started, and we
it's
went from that to Total War. So
it's
we're
the
getting there.
same scenario that like when I started getting into BattleTech, the BattleTech universe it is.
Mhm.
It has been not dispopular, but it has not been that popular. And it's been going on for over 30 years. And they kept going and building the lore, but it's so hard to step into because there is so much to it.
Oh, I thought
Like,
Warhammer's bad, but Battletech is a totally different beast. There's so much random and dumb shit,
I mean,
but also really good dumb shit.
an entire world was literally one over football against Biomutant Clanners. It is the best thing I've ever heard.
That's fucking awesome.
But Warhammer's just as dumb. Like, the reason I love the dwarves so much, because Jake knows I'm petty as fuck, and
Yes.
dwarves and Warhammer are the most, like, I think dwarves in every fantasy have been petty to a degree. But like I said, like, they take the lore of everything and kind of like amplify it, and like the king of the dwarves literally gets carried around on his throne by other dwarves and just reads a book of grudges all day long.
Hell yes.
And I'm like, that's fucking me, because Jake, you were on top of my grudge list for 10 years.
All because I let this man borrow my Oblivion guidebook because I was like, man, this guy can't play Oblivion, but he really likes reading my guidebook at school. I'll let him have the book. Maybe that'll help not being able to play the game a bit easier.
I saw that as a complete insult, because I'm like, oh, since I can't play the game because my PC shit and I don't have money for an Xbox. He's like, oh, here you go. At least you can read the book. So I was
Listen,
like, for
man,
the
you were
next
the one
10
every day in class, be like, hey, man, can I borrow that Oblivion book?
No, I
Hell no.
totally get your point, but like, I held that in my memory for 10 years. So when the Xbox One came out, you weren't able to get it yet, and I had it. So Christmas came around. I'm like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker back. So I took my Xbox One box and I put some weights in it to just kind of make it feel like there's an Xbox in it. And then I gave it to him, and he got it. He's like, "Well, that's fucking big." And I had all of our friends around, guys. I had his girlfriend there, I had my parents there, all
We
the
had a friend come
watched
from
it.
out of state.
Yeah, I had everyone I could think of to ruin this man's life. And he starts opening, he sees the Xbox, and I swear, Jake, he started forming tears. He's like, oh my gosh, you didn't have to do this. Opens it up, and on top of all the weights and shit I put in there was the fucking Oblivion guidebook. And he's like, oh, you didn't have to do this. And I was like, fuck you, Jake. We waited 10 years.
It
I
was
remember.
barbaric, to say
So
the
when I
least.
read that about the dwarves, I'm like, I can't be anything more. I have to only say dwarves. They're my
He was
people.
like, my people.
Yeah, my
people,
nose fits it. So,
Yeah,
and the
it is
Fits
Skaven are
perfect, really.
super dumb. Jake, just
Oh,
talk about some of the shit they've done.
so I'm going to transition into that. I'm going to start something real badass and then go to badass but stupid. So during the end
that's
times
really
event,
the Skaven
your
way.
grudge book dude is like writing his shit, right? Because I don't know why during the apocalypse he's still obsessing over his fucking book. So Deathmaster Snitch, who's like top tier ninja assassin, because oh, by the way, a clan of the Skaven went to not Japan in the Warhammer universe and learned the ways of ninjutsu before coming back to the rest of the clans. So their most top assassin goes, murders this fucking dwarf in like the middle of the stronghold, and then puts his insignia in the grudge book, and that was the last thing put into the grudge book before the world ended.
Dude,
But moving on to ridiculously stupid but cool
We're not done
is
yet.
the Skaven literally blew up the moon because they wanted more warp stone. They're like, I think the moon's made of warp stone. So they sent a rocket up to it to blow it up, and that's actually what caused the end times.
So yeah, fuck the Skaven, first off.
Oh, and another thing I love about so in the lore and the Empire, it's considered heretical and against the law to even discuss the Skaven. Because the reason is everyone found out about giant rat man living in the sewers. People were like, oh, let's go kill these motherfuckers. Let's join up. The problem is, if the Skaven ever had a unified threat like that, they would finally stop fighting each other and all join together, and they would win easily because there's like billions to each humanity's millions. So the number one defense the Empire has is just not talk about it and leave the Skaven alone to fight each other.
yeah.
I mean, it works.
I mean, it does. That's why the Skaven for the longest time couldn't get their shit together, is because they just backstab constantly, left and right. And it took their god coming from out of the sky and being like, "All right, I've been having a lot of fun watching you kill each other, but it's time to do something."
Would you say they were, and I quote, rat bastards?
Oh
Jake?
yeah, they were rat bastards.
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
Yeah, we should just end it right there. Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
ashamed of what I've done. But yeah, pretty damn
Then
good.
Dimit, I think you could definitely talk about what's happened with the Dark Elves and the
I'll
shit
be
that they
honest. I have jumped around so much that I have not settled on a faction that I would consider to be like my one. So I honestly don't even want to even begin to try to tell the tales because I'm going to tell them wrong.
I think you should definitely talk about the slave murders through the
Oh well, yeah.
streets.
That's
the fucking
I was
mechanic in Total War.
yeah. In Total War, there is a straight up mechanic here that the economy runs on slaves, which is why I asked that question earlier.
This is
How the
America.
hell we went from collecting dragons to holding slaves, but yeah, I digress. So one of the mechanics for the Hag Queen is literally you have to sacrifice a certain amount of slaves, like probably about every 10 to 15 turns, and it's not a small amount. It's like 800 or 900. It goes up every time, which is another problem.
I
But
feel like
so
this is
you
like
do
the
that.
Whoville of slaves.
Yeah, like there's a reputation. You can do it almost whenever you want because it like goes down. Like it'll get to the point where it got to the point when I first started that I didn't have enough. Fuckers just like give me like here's 200. Do the goddamn death right so that everyone is happy. And I'm like, oh geez, this is fucking hardcore.
Yeah,
So I
1800
did it.
America just sweating.
And what's the next thing that happens? They literally get a full fat stack, 20 tops, and they just fuck off to the rest of the world. I'm like, what in the hell have I brought into this universe? I don't know what just happened, but yeah, I
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say.
there's so much great shit in Warhammer. So I definitely suggest if anyone's like, oh, I kind of want to get into a new fantasy because there's not a lot of good D&D games. Like I know there's Baldur's Gate 3 that just came out, but that's super expensive for not even being fully out yet. I would suggest, or you just like are a fan of Left 4 Dead and you're wanting something like it. I definitely suggest Vermintide.
Oh, for sure.
You could get one because it's still a great game. It still looks great too.
Yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
but you could easily just look up like what happened in that game because like it's like Left 4 Dead's missions with somewhat of the story,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
basically
just
bare
go to
bones, like we gotta go do
Vermintide.
this thing to help us fight the rat men.
And I feel like there's a sale all the time.
Hmm.
And if you like that or are super into it, get Warhammer. The sad thing is you're gonna have to get both, and they're dumb expensive.
The Total War
Yeah,
games, you mean, Bren?
Yeah, Total War games. To get even more of the Warhammer fantasy.
that's the pro. I say if you're gonna start, you have to have the base games at least. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
have to have 1 and 2.
Because that would give
Like
you
that is
8 races in total and both maps.
yeah, like that's kind of a base starting.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
say if you're really into it, buy it. Go ahead, buy it full price. But I'd say wait for a sale.
Yeah, it goes on sale pretty often. Like anytime there's a Steam sale, almost guaranteed Total War Warhammer is going to be there.
Yeah,
I mean, it should have the Christmas sale coming up here in
there you go.
couple, two
Get
to
it
3
on
weeks.
Christmas.
For sure.
Yeah, but I suggest Vermintide highly. I suggest it to everyone that I know that plays D&D. I'm like, you like D&D? Oh, well, you might like Warhammer Vermintide too.
Oh,
It's pretty great.
boys, we never
See,
talked about
Hammertime.
Carillions classes.
Oh my god, we didn't.
Oh my
We got
God,
carried
No
away
one
oh
talking
no!
cares.
about all the
No
autistic
one
lore.
cares.
All right. Yeah, no one cares. I know.
No one
Yeah,
Speed
back to
run this any
Vermintide
percentage.
2. We forgot about the elf classes. I'm sorry, Jake.
All right, Waste Stalker. Her ult basically you shoot like 3 arrows and it kills like, depending on how strong the enemies are, like 3 to 12 enemies instantly, and it recharges. Really good range class. Get a glaive on there. You can handle most any enemies pretty well. Handmaiden is all about ducking and dodging because your ult literally just shoots you forward. So it's good through like dodging around or trying to get to an ally to help heal them and pick them up. In the Shade, I haven't really played. That ability is you go invisible for about 5 seconds, and their next attack does like critical damage and buffed up melee attack as well. So probably a good boss killing class.
Yeah, I'd say like she for range, she's up there. Like Sienna has pretty good range with her magic ability, but I still feel like the edge goes to the elf. And then the only one that gave her any trouble was I'd say Ironbreaker because he could just decimate hordes with that flamethrower.
Yeah,
But with this outcast engineer, she
it's gonna be neck and neck now.
yeah, Jake, I think we're definitely going to have to like play a game where you go back to her and see what happens.
Right, I'd be interested to see who comes out on top with that ranged kills.
Yeah, and
Then
then
I'll just
Dimmick,
throw Sienna
you just go
into the
vict,
mix.
watch her win.
Uh, we get a couple of hordes, and I've got the daggers equipped. It's going to be hard to win.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I could
It's
that
Jake witnessed it.
Gatling is pretty long range.
Daggers don't care. Jake witnessed
Those
what
daggers are
happened.
fast as hell.
You
Yeah,
literally just hack and slash your way to victory, then probably explode. Somewhere in there, there's an explosion.
There's
You
at
better
least
hope
2
it's not all.
explosions a level.
dude, I want to play with her and the Slayer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, let's talk about some of the lore. Like we talked a little bit about how the like it works, like how the map works. It's basically the Earth that we have now, except it's like a little misshapen. But you know where Germany and England is and shit like that.
Yeah.
It- the Norska is all Scandinavia, and they're like pure chaos, and they just raid everything like Vikings would. Um, and then you have the dwarves, who, like I said, are perfect fantasy dwarves. And there's
Hmm.
so much to them. There's so much to everything. Like I want to know. Thank goodness you know about the rats, the Skaven, because I would never know. There's so much about them, like
Dude,
all the
there's a
clan systems.
crazy amount. It is like, and that's just the rats. I'm sure there's equal, if not more, for each other group in the game.
Oh, and just as far as humans go, like the other day I was reading that there's a whole faction or country that is basically Poland, like Eastern Europe, I should say. Like
Hmm.
it's very Russian-esque, but then they throw the Polish in there.
Yeah.
Like it's fantastic what they have. And if you're a history buff too,
Oh yeah, you'll definitely get
I
some
feel
extra
like
kicks out of it for sure.
oh yeah, because like you can tie in so much of our real world history into this fantasy. It's so fun. It's just so fun to be a part of, and I can't wait to run a tabletop game.
Hmm.
We're not doing like their strategy tabletop though. That's expensive.
I will say, if we're going to talk about the tabletop, I'm actually eyeballing getting into it a little bit.
You just want the figures, don't you? You
I do want the
goddamn.
figure. I mean, I think it'd be a fun game to play, and it's something that I'm going to get into right away because, like you said, Brent, it's fucking expensive. It's something I'd pick up like here and there as I get money to buy shit for it because you need the books, you need the paints, you need the little tools, you need the actual minis themselves.
Yeah, like I would be totally down to try it,
Hmm.
or even better, like tie it into our table, our pen and paper game. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, because
um,
Because actually, for this Christmas, I'm getting the battle tome that you need to play the Skaven faction. And even if I don't
of
end
course,
up playing the game ever, it's just nice because I think each of these battle tomes come with a bunch of like lore and artwork for that faction,
that's beautiful.
along
Yeah.
with like the rules and like the war scrolls on what each character's damage and health and all that is. But there is a thing I saw, Brendan. I don't know if you'd be interested. I guess they have like a spin-off of Age of Sigmar called Warcry, and it's like
Okay,
based more on like small skirmish battles. So like a set, for example, I was looking is $50, but it comes with everything you
oh,
need. All you'd have to do is like make the minis and buy the paint and stuff.
see, the painting is what gets me. I'm not.
See, I was nervous about it, and I was looking up videos the other night, and like just like the speed painting some of these people were showing, it didn't look too awful. You just do primer, do like maybe the 3 or 4 colors you need on a unit, depending on how complex your units are, and then like a finisher coat.
Yeah. See, I'd probably just give it to Dimit. He's the paint guy for that. I would
I
say
know
Nice.
I'm
since
nervous
he
as fuck. I
since
would
he's
fuck
done
something up. It's like, oh, I
miniatures.
just spent $50 on this figure. This now it's
Save
like
Yeah,
goop up all this paint, and fuck
make
it
your
up.
wife do it. I'm gonna make my wife's mom do it since she's an art major.
There you go.
There we go. Her mom will do it for us.
She's gonna be our painter extraordinaire.
Hell
Here,
yeah.
Yeah.
please paint this.
It should be like, oh, this is satanic.
Like, yeah, that's the whole point.
So what you're saying is she's not gonna paint my evil rats.
Probably not. No, she'll do it. She'll just complain to me
I'll do it and I'll complain about it later.
Yeah.
It's perfect. That's like the go-to for me. Now, one of like when I was getting into the Total War aspect of Warhammer, the thing that really stuck out to me is, my God, there is a lot of factions. There's
Yeah.
a lot of like races and factions. I mean, just running down the main ones: the Empire, Dwarves, Greenskins, Vampire Counts,
Fuck the
Warriors of
Greenskins.
Chaos, Beastmen, Wood Elves, Bretonia, Norska, Lizardmen, Dark Elves, High Elves, Skaven, Tomb Kings.
The Tomb Kings are so
Hell yeah.
fucking cool.
Which is
The
basically just
Skeleton
undead
Boys.
Egyptians.
Yeah. Oh, and the Vampire Counts or the Vampire Counts of the
Oh, the
Coast or
coast.
what? Yeah. Like if you like Jake, I know you love pirate shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was like, I feel like this series has something for everyone. If you
Oh, for
like
sure.
fucking vampires, they have vampires. Like pirates, guess what? They have pirates, and they're vampires.
And do you want the pirates that look like Davy Jones' crew? That's what they are
Hell
too.
yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
You want giant
Like I
hermit
just love how
crabs?
they have that there. It's so like niche and like who would think to add that into a game, even though it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
legit.
if you like Celtic shit, I'd say go Wood Elves because they're not like Legolas Wood Elves. Like they're not like pussies. Uh,
Are you saying they're not femboys?
Yeah, they're not femboys. They're not like the first thing you go to fuck when you turn gay. uh, they're like like hardcore druids. I'd say the protectors of the woods, like the Wayfarer. I looked up what that was for
Mhm.
Vermintide, what she is. They literally sit on the edge of the woods, and anything that comes, like if a guy from the Empire is like, "I'm gonna go into these woods," they murder them, and they're
That
like,
checks
"I'm
out.
protecting the realm."
Yeah,
And
that's
if you
pretty
like
on point.
Vikings, the Norska is right up your alley. Like the way dark elves sacrifice to the streets, they sacrifice to their gods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I I've only ran into them a couple times because all of the races and factions I normally play aren't really near them. But this newest playthrough I actually have, and I hate those bastards.
Dude, they're so offensive, like attack wise, and maybe a little offensive personally. But
They will tell you
and
about
they're
how they
more
slept with your mom as they kill you.
yeah, they're like a little 12-year-old white boy playing COD.
Oh,
Fuck your mom!
No, you didn't.
circa '07 Xbox Live.
And they have werewolves that hang out with them. Like, what more do you want?
I
I
am
love how in the
waiting.
Norse society that's not like a bad thing either. It's like, oh, cool, give them a promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that's one thing that really pulled me in is like there is a lot of shit and there's something for everyone. It's not like some other games where you've got like 4 factions and they're all kind of semi-similar. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
the Total War Warhammer franchise is 2 games in with a third one on the way, and ludicrous amounts of DLC for each one.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even know how many lords there is right now, but I mean, hell,
God,
there's got to be close to
so
50.
many. I think it's close to that, somewhere around there now.
I mean, it's ludicrous.
They just added another dwarf. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I think did they just release the last one for 2? Is that the Twisted? Was that the last
And there's
one?
at least one more coming up. So the Twisted and the oh God, what was the other half of it?
I don't know.
You're gonna make me look it up here. Twisted in the Twilight, or at least where it reworked the Wood Elves. And that's another thing though I like about how they update the game is like the big patches and reworks for the factions are free. So like you don't
Yes.
have to buy the new Wood Elf DLC to play the revamped Wood Elves.
I would hope so because it's fucking expensive to buy a faction. Like I love Total War, but fuck, dude, I missed out on the last sale that had, and thank goodness we're having a winter sale soon. But like, it went from like what $5 for the Vampire Coast. Now it's fucking $20.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
all of the new
A
race
fucking
packs come out at
faction.
20. And
Yeah,
yeah, I would say that's I mean, I like I said, I like that means there's still support for the game, but at the same time, it's a lot of money each
Oh yeah.
DLC. And there's going
It's
to be a lot
definitely
of DLC
something
for
that
each
I
game.
would not say to buy everything. It's buy what you want.
yeah. Why would?
There's guides out there for what
Mhm.
is considered to be like the best DLCs
Yeah.
and what not to buy.
Yeah, I say what says a lot about this universe is that, like you said at the beginning, Dimit, is that you are not a fantasy guy. Like I've talked
No.
Lord of the Rings with you, and you're just like, I watched it once.
Yeah, it's like
And
I like
you're
it,
like
but
a
I'm not
sci-fi
going out of
guy.
my way.
And like, and if a little more fantasy gets into your sci-fi, you're like, like Star Wars. You're
It's
like,
getting weird. We're
I like
getting
the Clone
Shadowrun, which
Wars,
I like.
but then you're like,
Yeah, but it does take away like even in Shadowrun, I like the sci-fi elements. It's not the it's not the fantasy elements that are pulling me in.
yeah.
It's not the
Well,
street
shoot, when we
orcs.
do that game, we're straight up taking like some of the fantasy out because it's just
Yeah,
a lot.
your boy is not skilled enough to run all the systems right off the bat.
Yeah, but it says a lot that you can get into the series. Like shit, 2 weeks ago, Jake, or like when the engineer, Outcast engineer, came out, Jake, all you did was send a trailer to our messenger group,
Yep.
and we all re-downloaded Warhammer Total War and Vermintide to start playing that again. Like it's all it took is a trailer, and we all, without even talking to each other, download it and start playing like the next
Yep.
Yeah.
night. Like, and then you're like, I don't even know what faction I really like, but I'll play it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm jumping around between Tomb Kings, Dark Elves, Vampire Counts. I mean, I've jumped around a couple of them, and I still haven't really figured out exact. I mean, Dark Elves are continuing to be one of my favorites,
Yeah.
but I like a lot of different ones. So who
You need
knows?
to come over to the rat side. Try out the Skaven, my man.
The
Or
new
if you
one
want to be
has the
petty as
mutagen
fuck,
factory or whatever.
That does look pretty cool.
come over to the dwarves. We're petty as fuck, and we got the best defense. We got
Hey,
helicopters.
we got nukes.
We got
I got
Predator.
like a dragon, I think. It sounds not nearly as destructive as those two, but I'll take it.
Now, what
We
if we
don't
made a
have a dragon.
dragon that could shoot nukes?
Now we're talking.
We don't have a nuke per se, but we got Grudge Book. So if you want to see who wronged you, we got the list. We made a list for you already.
The list of those that have wronged us.
Yeah, we've already made the list for you if you decide to join. That's your introduction. That's your
You
ID badge.
just gotta check shit off the list.
Yeah,
Shit's easy.
yeah. Remember when Jake cucked you for the anime podcast? We wrote
Oh
that down.
God.
We wrote that down. Dwarves don't forget.
Yeah.
No, not again. I can't bear to be another grudge book.
Yeah, hashtag never forget.
Oh man, yeah, the series is good. I mean, hell, we're about an hour in, and we've not
Barely
really even
scratched the
scratched
surface of
the
what we could
surface.
talk about.
We've
We're
scratched
not even
2 games.
experts in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like
Yeah,
we could
what
probably go hours and hours just talking about Total War.
Oh, don't get. We'll have a V2 episode.
Yeah, I
for
feel like
sure.
I haven't got enough in Vermintide. We haven't even gotten into like the enemy.
No,
Yeah,
we barely talked about the Skaven, and we haven't really even touched the Chaos Warriors at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely going to have to be a part 2.
Agreed.
100%.
We've,
100%.
like you said, barely even touched the surface to this.
Also, anyone listening, message Joel and get him to play Vermintide. He won't
Yeah.
play it for some reason, even though it's just Left 4 Dead with melee combat.
He plays WoW all day, and he's like, I love fantasy. And then he will lie and say he doesn't like Left 4 Dead, but if you mention Left 4 Dead, that dude, you can hear the chub hit his desk, and he's already down with it. And he's like, let's play. Yeah, he won't play Vermintide, which is the perfect mixture of both.
He played it
An
once and was like, nope, never again.
Yeah. And it's probably because he's bad at the game, because we all know if he's bad at the game, he won't play it.
That's why we can't get him back on Sonic Racing.
Why he won't play Overwatch anymore, and he says he's mad at it because he actually just sucks now.
Oh! The big guns coming out over here.
I mean, he did give you permission to say whatever.
Yeah, he let us have free reign. So you know what? Also,
That's
Canada,
what happens. You don't give us power.
Canada, we have better ski resorts.
We do have Colorado.
All of a sudden, we're at war with an entire nation, and it only took an hour.
All I have to say is, haha, your navy.
God damn. Well, boys,
we once again devolved into country bashing.
Yeah. Before we get too off the rails here, is that it?
Is there anything else we want to add before we start wrapping her up?
I'm sorry, Canada. I'm just joking. We got rid of Trump for you.
It's just a prank, bro.
Yeah, just a prank.
Just a prank, bro.
We just did a prank.
Now, the WarHammer games are good.
Yeah.
Some of them, like if you're looking franchise-wide, some of them can be utter shit. But
and there's
a
really
lot of
good
like
books.
the Total War, the Vermintides, the 40K Mechanicus games are all quality and a good time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, if anyone's wanting to get into the books, I suggest Troll Slayer by William. Let's see. Let's get this name.
Don't watch
William King. And if you're on Audible, get it on Audible because the guy who does the reading is perfect. The way he switches through voices is fantastic.
And if you're wanting a Skaven book, I've been reading the Thankwall and Bone Ripper Omnibus.
All right, well, we gotta go, guys. Thanks for.
Oh, sure. Cut me off. I'm talking about the Skaven. I see how it is. Brennan can talk about Vikings all day, and it's just one of them things. I'll talk about the Skaven, and I'm the idiot of the camp.
Oh, I hate you so much.
You know what? I will talk Skaven. There's a great fucking book about a dwarf slayer called The Skaven Slayer.
Fuck Gotrek and fuck Felix. They fuck up my Total War campaign once.
Yes.
How did they get him on like turn 10? Answer me that. It was bullshit.
We got money. What can I say?
Anyway, if you want more Skaven books, read Thankwall and Bone Ripper Omnibus. 3 books into one with 2 short stories. Good shit.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of horror-themed Warhammer books that just came out.
I saw that at Barnes and Nobles the other day. I need to take a look at it. They look pretty cool.
So if anyone listening reads them, let us know because I don't know. I'm not going to read them. I can't read.
That's why I listen to Audible. Hashtag not sponsored.
They're not sponsoring us, but because I'm illiterate, I go to Audible.
Are we gonna get a post
according to illiterate
sponsorship?
since 2000.
We plugged you guys. Really appreciate it if you sent some our way.
Joel's so not going to be happy with this podcast.
Hey, that's just what happens. But
May he rest in peace.
Can we get some sad music? You know.
Is there like a confession coming after this, or
no? This is just the end of the podcast.
No.
It's for the end.
Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Make sure to come back next time for some more autistic retardation.
Yeah, that's the Handsome Jack signing off.
Use those words.
Hey, we haven't gotten canceled yet because of it.
No, our 5 fans loved it.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Go fuck yourself.